This is Miss Humbert here, and today we're going to be talking about Unit 3, Notes 6, multiplying binomials. So if you think about a bicycle, bi means two. Okay, so we're going to be multiplying things that have two terms. So let's go ahead and take a look at the different ways that we can do this. So the first way we can do this is what I call the FOIL method. Now this is the one that's been standard for mathematics for a very long time. This is the one that most of your teachers probably learned, and your parents too. And that's the FOIL method. So you're going to multiply the first terms of each of the binomials. You're going to multiply the outside terms of each of the binomials. You're going to multiply the inside terms, the last terms. Then you're going to combine like terms and put it in standard form. Okay, so if you notice, first, outside, inside, last, that spells FOIL. So that's how you can remember that. Next is the box method. So the box method, you're going to start by drawing your box. And I don't know if you guys have done this in science yet, but you might have done something with genetics called a Punnett square. And that's what the box is going to kind of look like. It's going to kind of look a Punnett square. And you're going to line your terms up across the top and across the side. Then you're going to multiply each of the monomials into the box. Write out your four terms, combine them, and put it in standard form. So we'll kind of take a practice with both of these as we go through. So let's take a look at number one. So for number one, we're going to be doing this via the FOIL method. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply the first terms. So x times x is x squared. The next thing we're going to do is multiply the outside terms. X times a negative 4 is a negative 4x. Multiply the inside terms, negative 1 times x is a negative 1x. And multiply your last terms. Negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. So that was just completing the FOIL part. First, outside, inside, last. Again, we'll do a couple more examples of these. So then we want to combine our middle terms. Negative 4x minus x is negative 5x. Plus 4. So none of those terms can be combined any further. Our exponents are going in descending order, which means that this is fully in standard form. Let's think about it doing the box method. So I'm going to set up my box to start off with. Okay, if you're multiplying two binomials, you should have a 4-box square. So I'm going to do x and 2 and x and 5. So now I need to multiply into the box. So I'm going to take x times x, and that's going to be x squared. 2 times x is 2x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and write out the terms that we have. We have x squared plus 2x plus 5x plus 10. So we want to make sure it's in standard form and all of our like terms are combined. Well, right now my exponents are going in descending order, so that's good. Now we just need to combine our middle two terms. 2x plus 5x is going to be 7x. So we get x squared plus 7x plus 10. So that right there is your final answer. So I want you guys to take a look at number 3. You decide what method you like and stick to it. I tend to use the box method in class, but if you really like FOIL, feel free to use FOIL. I won't count off points either way. I'm going to take a look at number 4, and we're going to do number 4 using the box method. So I'm going to line up the terms. So what you're going to notice is because it's minus, I'm taking that second term and I'm almost writing it out as negative. So then I have x times x, which is x squared. Negative 1 times x is a negative x. X times a negative 3 is a negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. So if you notice, when I'm putting things into the box, I'm taking first row, first column, first box. First row, second column, this box. Second row, first column, this box. Second row, second column, this box. Okay, and that's what you would do with a Punnett square too. So we have x squared, and this should be an x. Minus 1x minus 3x plus 3. So now we're going to take and we're going to combine our like terms. They usually, when you use the box method, end up in the middle. Negative 1x minus 3x is negative 4x plus 3. All right, let's take a look at multiplying a binomial squared. So what that dancing nun is there to remind you is that when you're multiplying a binomial squared, you cannot just square both terms. So many students try and distribute in the squared like we did when we were multiplying monomials. Well, when we were multiplying monomials and we were taking monomials to a power, there was multiplication involved. This time there's an addition sign in the middle. So we have to multiply the binomial times itself. So go ahead and finish getting this written down and then move on with the video. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we have here x plus 6 quantity squared. So what I'm saying is you can't say that that's x squared plus 6 squared. Okay, that's not the same thing. This right here is the same as x plus 6 times x plus 6. So it's the same binomial written out twice. So then when we see this, we can go ahead and we can set up our box, or if you want to use FOIL, that's perfectly great. So we have x and 6, x and 6. So x times x is x squared. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 6 is 36. So then, if we write out our terms, x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 36, we need to combine those middle two terms. So then we get x squared, 6x plus 6x is 12x, plus 36. So really it's the same thing. The biggest thing you need to know is that you need to write those out as x plus 6 times x plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and leave number 6 up to you guys. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So if you're multiplying more than two binomials, so if you're multiplying, if one of your polynomials is not a binomial and maybe has 3 terms or 4 terms, then the FOIL method is not going to work for you. So we have to use the box method, because we can always use the box method, and we can do so by expanding our box, making our box bigger. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So this is just going to make us better at using the box. So we have a binomial times a trinomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a box. And that box is going to be 2 by 3. So I have 4x and 9 on this side, and I have 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 on this side. So now again, I'm going to go about doing the same thing I did, and I'm going to multiply into the box. 4x times 2x squared. 4 times 2 is 8. X to the first times x squared is x cubed. 4 times a negative 5 is a negative 20. X times x is x squared. 4 times 3 is 12, and then we just have an x. 9 times 2 is 18, and then we have x squared. 9 times a negative 5 is a negative 45, and then we just have the x. And 9 times 3 is 27. So now we want to go and find our like terms. Well, what I notice is that my like terms fall on these diagonals. But just to play it safe, I'm going to write out all of my terms. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. Well, I start with 8x cubed. That's my first one. It's just 8x cubed. Then I notice I have a squared term here, and this should be a squared term, and the squared term here. Negative 20x squared plus 18x squared, that's just going to give me a minus 2x squared. Notice when I added those two together, I did not add my exponents. When we're combining like terms, we do not change our exponents. 12x minus 45x is going to give us a negative 33x. Again, keeping that exponent the same. When we did it up here, we were multiplying. That's why the exponent changed. Now we're adding, so our exponent's going to stay the same. And finally, we're going to add 27 to the end. So this right here is our simplified binomial. I want you guys to go ahead and try number 8 on your own. So let's take a look at this crazy train right here. So we have 3 terms times 3 terms. That's okay. We can do this. We're just going to set up an even bigger box. So the box I'm going to make 3 by 3. So I have y squared, negative 2y, and 5, 6y squared, negative 3y, and 1. So now I'm just going to go about what I've been doing and multiply into the box. So I'm going to take 6y squared times 1y squared. Well, 6 times 1 is 6. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. Then 6 times a negative 2 is a negative 12. And then y squared times y squared is going to be a y to the 3rd. And you can hear Mr. Cush in the background here. Okay, next we have 6y times 5. 6y squared times 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. And then we have y squared, okay, because we're... So let's take a look at our next row. So our next times y squared, okay? So negative 3 y times y squared is y cubed. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Y times y is y squared. Apologize for the interruption, guys. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, and then y. Okay, then here we have 1 times y squared is y squared. 1 times a negative 2 is negative 2. 1 times 5 is 5. So all I did was multiply into the box, okay, using the rules of monomials that we've had before. So now let's go ahead and let's write out all of our terms. So it's a lot of terms, but all we have to do now is combine the terms that are alike. So I see that my largest exponent is y to the fourth. So that's going to come first in standard form. So we have y to the fourth. Then I have negative 12 minus 3y cubed, and that's going to give me, oh, that should be a y. That's going to give me a negative 15y cubed. Got rid of those. Then we have y squared plus 30y plus 6y. So all of those are y squared. So we have 1y squared plus 30y squared plus 6y squared. And since all of those are positive, that's going to give us a positive 37y squared. Then we have a negative 2y minus 15y. That's a negative 17y. And then we're going to add 5 to the end. So that right there is your whole long polynomial. So I want you guys to go ahead, try number 10 on your own. So you're going to set up a 3 by 3 box and then multiply the polynomials into the box. So let's take a look at this word problem. The area of a triangle is 1/2 the product of the base times height. So area is 1/2 base times height. You will have to have that triangle formula memorized for your exam. So write the polynomials expression that represents the area of a triangle. So you have 1/2, our base is 2x plus 3, our height is 3x minus 1. So now we need to multiply all of that out. So to start off with, I'm going to multiply this and this. Okay, so then I'm going to use the box method. This is one that you could use FOIL. If you like FOIL, you could use FOIL on this one. So 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. 3 times 3 is 9. And then x. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. So then we have 6x squared plus 9x minus 2x minus 3. Okay, so then we have 6x squared. We're going to combine our middle terms. 9x minus 2x is 7x, and then minus 3. Now, that's not quite the area, because if you remember, it's 1/2 base times height. So I have to take this and multiply it by 1/2, which is the same as dividing everything by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3x squared. 7 divided by 2, I'm going to leave that as 7/2. That should be an x, not a y. Okay, and then I'm going to leave 3 over 2 as 3 over 2. So this is your area. So I know there was a lot of confusion during this video. Hopefully things are still going okay, and we will talk about this tomorrow in class. Make sure you take your Schoology quiz. Thanks for listening.